Okay, it's trundling away on our SMC from the last video. Uh, what now? Uh, well, we have the hub which controls the telescope, and you can drive it directly, do calendar for events. The next mode of usage is a centralized dispatch scheduler. So there's a few ideas of scheduling. There is the scheduling for a global telescope network where you know all the telescopes in your network and you know all of your observations, and then you try and fit the observations across all of those telescopes in the best possible way that you know how, and then run those on the telescopes. And you could regenerate that every 10 minutes or so. That approach sort of works if you uh, have really good telescopes that are, if they're open, it's going to be crystal clear, and if they're shut, they're shut. If it's bad weather, it's bad weather. Now, with sites that are not privileged sites sitting at 10,000 feet, the weather can more commonly be problematic, patchy. As we can see, there's a little bit of light cloud in this image down here, which is affecting the side of the image. So clouds can come over and go past. Bad weather can come in and come out pretty quickly. And so each telescope has a very patchy availability. And also the telescopes can be turned on and turned off. So owners could go on holiday and just say, I want to turn my telescope off while I'm away. I'd leave it on. But people could turn it off and then that telescope's not available. So there has to be a more flexible way of scheduling a telescope. And that's called dispatch scheduling. So it's pretty much what ACP did for a long time. And it is sort of what we do as well. Instead of dispatch, the scheduler is not at the telescope, it's in a centralized area. And now, aside from the fact that the actual interface is designed to be online first, anyway, this allows the ability to request a network observations. So requesting observations not from your own telescope, but from any other telescopes that you might have access to in the network. Now, to schedule it for your own telescope, and if you're the only user and you can set that, you can just use the scheduler for your telescope and that's it. But you can also request something in the other northern hemisphere. If you have a friend who has an observatory and you're 10,000 kilometers away from each other in a different hemisphere, you can share observatories and schedule on each one. And you don't even need to kind of think about which one to schedule on. The scheduler will figure that out. But so for a single observatory, you can set things that you want to observe, and the observatory will figure out when to observe it. What actually happens is each of the observatories, if there's no real-time users using the telescope, and if there's no calendar blocks, they take precedence. So if you've got a real-time booking or you've got a calendar slot, it'll do those first. But if it finds it's in a situation where it's not doing anything, then it's going to keep on asking the scheduler, is there any jobs available for a telescope like me to observe? So objects that are up in the sky, that are that have a certain filters, that's a certain air mass, certain type. So here's a one-shot color. Maybe you don't want one-shot color, you only want mono. It can sort that stuff out. So we do that through the arbiter interface. Arbiter is just a name for someone who makes decisions. It's not just the scheduler, but we'll get onto that other detail later on. So in the scheduler interface at the moment, we have your current requests and your previous requests. So you can see here, I've just been bunging in some objects I quite like to observe. Omega Sen and Eta Carina. See, Omega Sen was observed tonight. Very cool. And you can see my previous requests here. There's a bunch of completed ones and expired ones. So you can set the window for when you want it back by. let's do something. So the simplest thing is if you have a student user or a new user. If you own your own telescope, you probably have a little bit of experience scheduling detailed events. But if you have a new user, you could just go Small Magellanic Cloud, seems to be my object of the evening. Press search, and then press submit to next work. And ta-da, you have a job now in the schedule. And it's a 300-second color. So you can set in the request color image. Color just means it could either get a one-shot color, or it will divide the exposure time up into blue, green, and red on a mono camera that has blue, green, and red filters, or something that is close to blue, green, red. But obviously you can have detailed schedule observations. So here you put in more exposures. So you could, for RL arrays, which is something I do a lot, I want B, V, I, and Z. And how many exposures do you want? And exposure time, 809 seconds. Why not? No, I won't do that. So target name, of course it's this Small Magellanic Cloud. It's the only thing I ever look at. Submit. Now they will give you some accounting about how much it will cost. There is hours. Obviously, if it's your telescope, all these will be zero. So there we go. So here's the schedule. So the telescopes will sit there, and once one of them frees up, it will pick up the object and observe it.